Get ready to cheer on Team USA. Sign up for Xfinity Internet and get a Flex 4K streaming box free and Peacock Premium included. Can your internet do that?
Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Peacock subscription required.
Xfinity, proud partner of Team USA.
Here at Gas Digital, guys, we want to help you be better in bed. And that's why I want to tell you about our partnership with Promescent, the premium sexual wellness company, which is very fancy talk for how you can be a better lay. So, how is Promescent going to make you a better lover? The greatest thing that's ever happened to whoever you're sleeping with. Promescent has a patented delay spray that's going to help you last longer in bed and show your partner a really good time. So go to Promescent.com. They've got an assortment of products to enhance your sex life. It's promo code KURT, K-U-R-T. You're going to get 15% off your first order of Promescent. Once more, that's promo code KURT for 15% off. Let's start the show.
Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Yeah, I know. Because I can't get right. This is cutthroat. This burns as words pop from a snub nose. This Kurt Metzger and not give a fuck mode. Because I can't get right. Because I can't get right. Yeah, you're listening to Can't Get Right.
Hey, this is Can't Get Right with me, Kurt Metzger, and my special guest, definitely America's sweetheart. Let's give that name out. We give it out for my friend Anthony Camilla.
Thank you, Kurt.
Who used to, I still to this day, I'll see like clips up from the old O&A show. That was a huge. I mean, I guess at the time, I didn't think about what a huge thing that was, but that show is still a comedy, as particularly with stand up.
Yep.
It's still a long term a lot of people remember just times I was on there.
Yeah.
I think I was funny on there twice. I don't even think I did get them most of the time. But it really has especially because I guess Patrice was on a lot. I was watching all those old Patrice.
Every time someone sends me a clip of Patrice, I will watch it. Absolutely.
Yeah, who was the guy who what was his name that his dick would get hard?
Bobo. Yeah, Bobo, huge Mets fan, knows everything. He's like an idiot savant and knows everything about the Mets, but also is incredibly horny in this I never got laid because I have mental problems.
I mean, they named him a monkey name, which is degrading, I have to say. Bobo.
It really is. Bobo. So and you would talk about a girl and what he would like to do to a girl, and you'd literally see he would get an erection. You'd see it puffing up in his pants. And then you start talking about the Mets, right away, just talk about the Mets, stats and shit. And then his hard-on would go away. And I've never heard a laugh like Patrice laughed that day watching, because we would just keep doing it, and his dick would go up and down and up and down.
That's an amazing thing. I mean, that's
it is.
That should be I don't even want to say Tijuana because this is Broadway. I think it should be
Johnny Ola took me here. We watched Bobo's dick go up and down.
What an amazing.
It's amazing.
Yo, watching him laugh at that is so goddamn funny.
It's so good.
From Mets debate,
yeah,
damn, Bobo really is I guess now porn you just take Viagra and shit, but a dick on command like that is
on command. That's like a porn star. He should be a porn star, because that's the greatest thing for a porn star, to have the ability to go, okay, we're rolling. Yeah. Here it is. Here's my dick. Mm-hmm. All right, we're taking a break. Drink a little coffee. Dick's down. I don't care. Yeah, he had the ability to do that, and it was such a genuine laugh from Patrice, and Patrice just had that fucking. The entire room was full of his laugh. So
was he aware of this before he saw it? Or did you surprise him with it?
No, he had no idea what was going on. We didn't know we'd get to that. Most of the stuff we did on the show, it was so just whatever was happening at that moment.
Mike,
nothing
you should find
was
that
planned.
Bobo Patrice laugh just while we're talking. I realize now.
Fell off the chair. It was just insane. That show was great in the way that comics could come in, and so many other radio shows, and you've been on enough of them as a comic, they say, all right, do you got anything you want me to lead you into, or so you're playing here tonight, we'll get the plug out. And they wanted you to do material. We wanted comics that were genuinely funny without a word of their act, just hanging out bullshitting. One of the best times, or many of the best times, were busting balls, like Voss and Patrice and Colin Quinn and DePaulo. You get a room like that, it's just horrific insults being thrown around. With you, if the second the fire got on you, you do anything to get it off of you. So you're just insulting someone's shirt, their hair. Just get the fuck off of me.
It was a lot like how the cellar table was.
Yes, it turned into like a radio version of the cellar table.
Yeah, when I first got to the cellar, I remember me and Big J and Kev all came up around the same. Well, Kevin Hart got there first. He was smarter than us, but
never heard of him.
It was so intimidating, that room. Because one, it was like I was like, oh, this is like a real comedy club, like which I hadn't really ever seen up, in like 3 years or whatever I had done stand up, and then it's like a brick wall with like Seinfeld's there and Chris Rock's there, and then like all these, you're like, oh, this is like what I imagined comedy was. So there's all that, and then there's like a table you can't sit at unless you're passed. Which, by the way, I love that about this LA. It was great. The comedy table. And everybody sitting at the table was so, because he used to mock me for being like I wouldn't go sit at the table. I was afraid to. I didn't want to be told to get up.
No sane person would want to sit at that table. It was just, you were gonna get trashed.
Yeah, so Keith would be taunting me like, uncomfortable Kurt, when I would sit at the bar. I'd be blown away watching people like either like new comics or like although like girl comics, especially ones that like I dated, let's say, that became comics after I was a
yeah.
would do like that. It's like this showbiz thing. You don't know if you don't ask. You got to go up and network with everybody you meet. And so people would go up and like Patrice would tear, like, if you're in the middle of a conversation, somebody just interrupts you to like, for nothing, just to be like, I'm here now.
Yeah.
Like the store without sacred ground, the back part.
Yeah.
The hangout is not like, if there's just a front, it's because like, I don't know, Attell will be out in LA, right? And he'll be at the store and he smokes and he always will go to smoke around I'm like, dude, please don't smoke. Because we're going to get 2 sentences in and someone's going to come up, mostly for Attell, to go, hey, I just had to say that I love, like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't have to say that. There was no need for you to come up and
brutal.
say that.
And you're just cringing.
Yeah, like it was almost like they heard a famous story that like somebody made it in show business because they one time like interrupted Uncle Milty. They went, Uncle Milty, I have to say, I heard your dick is like that.
No, he was a star, kid. He was a soda jerk at Woolworths before he went up to Uncle Milty. He was an usher in a movie theater, and then he insulted or walked.
Yeah, people are getting, or they like take an acting class, or like, yeah, just go up to everybody and stick your dumb acting shit in their face, whatever you got.
That ain't it.
And I was just petrified to do that. I was just always petrified to do it because it just seems so like.
The table upstairs at the cellar, it's a restaurant up there, so it's the back table by the bar, and it's the furthest point you could get away from the front door of the place. It's literally the table is one end, the front door is the other. Mm-hmm. When you would walk in that front door and look at them at the table, just look up and look at you all the time. Every step you took was something else they were thinking of to shit on you with.
Oh, yeah.
Your clothes, your hair, your face, whatever the fuck it was. Every second you stepped, they were coming up with something else.
They would do it naturally. I think not even with that amount of time to look like a reflex. The thing I remember with Patrice the most is like, even like, because I think by the time I passed the cellar, Patrice was like, had that falling out with Manny. So when I'd see him, he'd just be sitting in the SUV outside the cellar. He would just pull his SUV up, and then we would go talk to him.
It's big Yukon, yeah.
Yeah, because he asked Manny if his teeth were real or some shit that he shouldn't have said to Manny. And so he was just saying hello to him the wrong way.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know, funny, like a lot of people like love Patrice after he's dead. I mean, we all do at the cellar, but it's funny hearing him talk about it because people would hate his gut, like. And I understand the stress of, like, hey, what's up, Patrice? Like, don't come at me like that. Like, oh my God, what did I have my shoulders wrong while I said hi? You know. And,
he was a prick to people. I would be horrified watching how he interacted with people on the street sometimes. That's
one of my friends, dude, who went on to become a guitar comic. She had balls to go up to state, Maine, and she says, oh, I'm from Maine. And Patrice just goes, "Who gives a shit?"
Who
And she ran out,
gives a
dude.
shit?
She ran out crying.
He would shush people.
Yeah, so I watched my.
Someone would be trying to, right in the middle of talking to Patrice, would just go,
Yeah,
shh, like loud. He could shush like no one
I
else
remember walking.
could
I'm like,
shush.
oh, she's gonna go up there. I'm like, don't. I'm in my head like, don't do this. She goes up. He
What are
goes,
you
who gives
doing?
a shit? Runs out of face her hands around the block. So now I have to. My girlfriend, right? So I'm uncomfortable. So I'm go around the block, and I hear Jim Norton go, "You're a real creep," to Patrice. And then Patrice actually walked out to the corner to his like. And gave like a non-apology, which is like huge for him.
Which is a huge apology, right?
Yeah, it was not an apology, like, but like, because he's obviously like, why are you bothering us while we're in the middle?
Yeah. What do you think you're doing?
They all, as I don't know, there was something especially with like girls that it would amaze me watching him like provoke them and then like charm them after.
He loved it because he knew that was part of his allure. Like, you know, there's that typical kind of corny, the girl likes the bad boy thing. And, you know, everyone tries to pick up on the girl and she's used to that. But if you shit on her, she's going to love you. And it's like, that never works. Shut up. It doesn't. And with Patrice, goddamn, if it didn't work for that guy, he would shit on women and they would just be like, he was magic.
Did you? He does it. I didn't realize. I watched a animation of. I forget. I guess he did this on Mr. P, but I didn't realize. He was talking about how he has to like, date. You know, like everybody's got their own like tools and like so. He goes, black women are warlike, so I have to be like, Miss, your weave looks funny or something. You know what? And he goes, oh, I'm very sorry. I don't know how to express. And he did that that's not like a. I remember Jake calling me from the road was with him, to just tell me shit Patrice did. And that's just some black guy said it to her. Was like, oh, is your wig look? And she goes, whoa, like she went crazy. And then he just like charmed her. And then I think he went to visit her with his bag of glass dildos.
Glass dildos. He would shit on a girl. Yeah, he would like say nasty shit to, I guess, knock their self-esteem down a notch or so.
It wasn't dude. He would say it like, I mean, I'm sure he did it too. But the thing he did was he'd just be on. See, it wasn't like making it would just be honest. Like when he said, "Who gives a shit?" to my ex, that's just honest. Like, who gives a shit that you're from me? What, like we're talking here. When he say a thing to a girl, it's like shit that you would, or anybody. Actually, anybody. That's, I mean, Manny. He asked him if his teeth were real and got kicked out of the club.
Brutal.
So he didn't spare anyone. It's like the thing that's amazing is like how this is where I agree with like radical feminism. How programmed women are to be children by society, by male society, where they go, well, you can't ask my age or my, you know, like,
yeah.
All he would do was apply that. First of all, pure honesty, which is like, there's no standard by which that's acceptable in society.
Yep.
To just be purely honest about whatever you're thinking. Like
everyone thinks that's what they want, but it's
there's like
the last
movies
thing
made
they want.
about how crazy that would be.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You don't want it.
And so. Or you hear it and you're like, oh my God, this is hilarious. Like, I've never heard anybody be like this. So
yeah.
So he would say this stuff, and so it's just appear because I watch people call him. I mean, like as far as like getting called race words or whatever, people would be calling him a gorilla or a thing. I mean, like,
oh, brutal. Yeah.
They're brutal. So he had no like ego about his looks. It was like hilarious. He goes, "Yeah, it's okay. I believe in myself." He would approach someone. So you would think somebody is getting called all this shit, especially like it's racial on top of it, and you're like, also you do kind of look gorilla-ish. Like that's a lot to be going in with in your head. So his option, like I love it. His option was like, I'm just gonna put it like we're on equal looks footing, no matter what. And how would I talk to you if we both look the same? It's actually like a very pure and beautiful thing the way he would talk to everybody, as if all that shit didn't matter. Just like the honest thing in the moment. It was fucking great, and people hate it. I mean, you know,
do you think
Christ for that?
Do you think Patrice had an amazing self-confidence, or did he have such low self-esteem that he made up for it by being so defensive right off the bat? Because what it looks like to me was that like he seemed to be the most confident, highest self-esteem guy ever. But when you really delve into it, you kind of go like, maybe he's just hitting the person first before they could nail him.
I'm sure sometimes he has done that. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He like I don't know. I think it's like once you already been to jail for a crime you didn't commit in life, like you like you probably have like
a little cynical.
Yeah, like once you've already kind of seen some shit. Because he told me one time, dude, he was like a nerd, like of a guy. Like he always used to. We were talking. He was like, he used to have glasses and a sweater, and like around the time like Hannibal was getting popular. Right. By the way, I always thought Hannibal was funny. Nothing against him, but what the white alt scene was like. Finally, a black guy that I'm comfortable around. You know.
Yeah.
And like that. So I always despised like the Brooklyn white fans of his. Like get the fuck out. So. Patrice said was like that. He goes, people just call me N-word anyway. So I was like, well, fuck it. And one time, I'll tell you a profound thing, of a racial thing that I learned from him. Maybe it's not profound. I am smoking weed, but we're talking about. First, I get in the car and I'm talking about some ugly sweater I saw or sweatshirt on the subway on the way there. Do you remember when it was in style? It was a very urban style of it's like diamonds and dollar signs all over a repulsively colored sweatshirt. And I was just and I was looking, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, who the fuck would put that on? Like,
right.
There's nothing. I mean, it indicates. Here's what that shirt indicates. You have never seen either of those things in person. And you should never have access to them because you're an idiot that will spend it on the ugliest sweatshirt I've ever seen. Okay, which is not like I didn't have a thing in my head if that's a black thing. I just like couldn't believe. And so I'm telling Patrice about this fucking sweatshirt in the car, and he got quiet as driver. He's like, "I got that sweatshirt."
Oh no, of course.
He goes, "It costs a lot of money too." And so but listen, he didn't hit back at me. I'm like, right then, I realized the thing. I really like wonder you're saying this, Patrice. That's when I realized. No, he fucking he's trying to be a guy from high school because he's a nerd that was trying to look like whatever was cool in his high school.
Yeah, whatever was cool at the time.
Not even it's like a racial
really
thing.
Mattered to you. Yeah.
So that's the thing. I'm like, oh, it's a black thing, but it's not. It's a different thing. But he didn't like retaliate or something. You know, he just said it. Oh, I get. It was only one of the few times I was seeing it was like, oh, I guess that's the thing that looks stupid, like especially like to white people.
Oh.
But it wasn't like we had awkward energy. It was just a thing. I'm like, oh, this is like a high school thing and not at all like.
But that would almost make me feel worse than if he did just barrel back at you and nail you about something because you're like, oh, that really did kind of hit a nerve.
He didn't have any kind of way, take anything any kind of way. At all. Like he liked an honest thing. Like, so there's not like a penalty. Like that's the good part. The stress of him is though I'm going to get made fun of. But the good part is you don't have to worry about it like he's a chick, what his emotions are going to be. He would engage what you said. He was totally willing to do that.
Yeah.
So I mean, So I never had that feeling around him. It was always just like laughing about something. So we were talking, and I don't remember what I brought up. Something about movie Fight Club. So this is not related to that story at all. It was on the same car ride, but he goes, oh yeah, that's like the ultimate white guy movie. That movie. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, it's like the ultimate, like, I don't know, every white guy loves that movie. And I was like, that's such a diss. You know how many, by the way, white guys I know who still bring up Fight Club to this day?
Yeah.
That are like, I got like all these friends that do like YouTubes and they're like, talk about Fight. I'm like, dude, Fight Club's like the ultimate white guy movie. Like, I was like, oh, obviously it's the ultimate fucking white guy. A guy who just has fist fights for fun because his life's it's about a guy who had so much IKEA furniture.
Right. That he had to get into fist fighting to get any excitement.
It's also not really about that. It's about guys secretly fucking each other because they're gay. That's what it's actually about.
Fighting is fucking in that movie. Let's be real
and
here.
all the messages are like, do we really need more women when a bunch of guys could just
right.
And imagine,
very homoerotic.
Imagine what a motivated team of homosexuals can accomplish in this world.
Because there's that one scene where Edward Norton's beating up what's his name, the blonde-haired pretty boy,
destroy something
and he
beautiful.
Really beats him up, which really amounts to I really fucked you. Like God, I want to.
Why did you do that? I want to destroy something beautiful, which means that guy's perfect asshole.
Yeah. I just want to rip it out.
His pristine. I want to prolapse his.
I'm gonna jerk off to Fight Club tonight.
But Fight Club, I got remind me to jerk off to Fight Club. But he wasn't trying to make an insult of it. He was just like, that's the ultimate white guy movie. And the second time, I'm like, oh, wow, that movie's not cool. Immediately.
Oh.
So it's just like because he would talk about stuff. He liked learning a new white people fact, like how
he loved knowing about white people music and movies and
like
all
shark,
that shit.
A guy that studies sharks. He's like one of these people that study sharks, and they're like, it's actually a beautiful animal. Like people think they're dangerous, but it's he really was like that, and it was really funny. Like, anyway, people don't like that spirit of inquiry. They don't like that.
Especially these days. It's I don't know. Everybody's supposed to pay attention to whatever.
Well, here, wait, play this video. Will you play it, Mike? The thing of Bobo's dick rising and falling.
Oh, so good.
I've been doing live shows with Kyle of Stallone,
Oh God.
And it's pretty funny. Like it got nerve wracking like the first couple times because you're like, oh, it's like a live thing. Now it does.
Yeah.
It feels like normal, but people get nervous too when they come on.
Yeah, dude, I do. My show's live every day. Like every show I do is live, pumping out there, and I love
you're
that.
You're used to that though.
I've been used to it dude. That's Stallone stuff. That's Stallone and
Did you see Frank came on? Frank Stallone.
He did. I haven't seen that one yet.
I think
Schwarzenegger Stallone thing where it's like, I made you do that stupid movie.
Oh yeah. So people get.
I was dying.
Like it was really funny though, him going too hard and just hurting.
How is it that you fucked your mate and lost your family?
Because remember that?
Oh, nice. Dude, I was laughing so fucking hard. Yeah, you fucked your mate.
That's do you know in real life, Stallone's very nice about their rivalry, and Schwarzenegger still can't like stop sticking it in. Like he's got this thing like, hey, like he'll never let go of it.
Yeah.
Just him being. There's something so funny about somebody going too far, like
too far. Yes. Like I'm watching that going, because he was kind of funny about it. I made you do that stupid movie. Mom, don't shoot. Mom, and then it's, oh my God, he's talking about his wife and his fucking the maid, and you ruined your. And then he's just like, yeah, how about that, huh?
Yeah, he was destroyed. We had to pre-record that, and then fake act to the.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Kyle's also Schwarzenegger.
Of course, he's also Schwarzenegger.
So like, there's a thing a little. It still came out good, but it's like slightly off because Sly goes. He comes in slightly too soon. I wanted like a beat longer of him being like.
Dude,
upset.
I swear the material. You would never look at anything like it. It's so fucking funny. I was crying watching it. This is hilarious.
Yeah, dude, those and that's the other thing. Those live ones, I like them. I want to do more of them. Like,
yeah,
that was funny, dude, because he's not like into he's not into doing podcasts. And he doesn't get in the podcast zone.
Yeah,
when Frank calls it, like where you could like riff. Really
right. Yeah,
but he can't. By the way, he totally can. I've seen him be great on it, but he doesn't feel like that's his thing. So he likes to have we don't script it out too much, Stallone. Like, we have like segments, right? And we go, okay, we're gonna have, and then we bullshit on the phone to think of like, what are we gonna do for, like we did the pick me up. He does these Rocky You Can Do It pick me ups. Where it's like somebody's having a hard time and he gives them a message of hope, to keep on punching. And we did one for Lola Bunny from the new Space Jam. Like, she was like a sex symbol in the 90s. And then she had a double mastectomy. Yeah, because I do want to see his Patrice
it's just
video. It's such a funny fucking thing. This guy's dick goes on like responds to verbal commands like a show dog.
Yes. Patrice could not fucking believe it. It just kept happening too. It's like
that's like the ultimate like white guy thing to him to see.
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh please.
They're always doing hilarious things with their dicks.
Yeah. Yeah. That is really a white guy thing. All right, here we go. Cool.
You a motel after?
Oh man.
Well, yeah, of course. I bet that she'd slide those little thong panties off. To a motel.
Did she wear a bra?
Yeah, but you know what I might do to get her the next time Stress Factory? I might get her one of those. You could take me.
Dude, you know what's so fucking funny? Like, it's not remotely sexy hearing Jim Norton and them go, "You like dog peonies?"
Yeah, no,
that's not even.
Not.
Like, and he's rock hard. Like
He just put it in his head though, like he got an image of a girl, and that's all it took. Oh, and Patrice is losing.
He's still got his dick out. Holy shit. Holy shit, dude.
He couldn't take it. He couldn't fathom that was really happening.
Yeah, that's really like
oh God, is that
you know,
great?
some people like think of the view from Everest or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's
their bucket
you just be dumbfounded. You can't fathom anything. Yeah, that was it. Oh God.
Okay, Mike. So do you have that video? So we got, I don't know. Maybe we'll use this in something with this sketch because it's pretty funny. But there's this a woke wolf dog. Sometimes they got really good ones. By the way, I think what it's a joke on. Do you remember a thing called Racist Watchdog? It would go woof 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 over.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then they had to quit because they had video of this black lady on a bus going, "I fucking hate white people. I want to kill all of you." And then they put woof woof woof, and the entire audience turned on them.
Oh God!
Where they go, "We have to."
Come on.
Because obviously it's not racism.
Come on.
Yeah, like it's so hilarious. Somebody did it. They were just pointing out, like, because it's like first of all, this is a dog character who's been trained to sniff out racism, but can't sniff critical race theory. Like a bomb sniffing. Look, the dog can't tell the difference with your racism double standards. It's a dog.
Right. So sometimes they see what's supposed to be anti-racism as racism. Wow, it's just a dog. He doesn't know.
They smell the same too. That's why when you hear people go. Friends of mine do this. I'll say shit. They'll say dog whistle. The amount of people say dog whistle. It's not somebody I know said this. They're like, oh, like free speech that's another dog whistle for.
Yeah.
Only dogs can hear the whistle, right? That's a racist dog whistle. So only racists can, because I'm not hearing this. I think because I'm not fucking racist. Like maybe you're hearing.
Yeah.
How are you hearing a dog whistle if you're not a dog?
Everything they've called a dog whistle, I've never heard.
Never heard. And then meanwhile, these same people are making just whistles.
Yeah.
Guys, I got to take a quick break to tell you that support for Can't Get Right is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just lost their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped to clip around the area of their balls or wherever. And now they've got an exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code KURT, K-U-R-T, at manscaped.com. Imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, optimized dong trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and let's just say I'm blown away by the performance. I mean, look, I don't know how many times you guys have shaved your balls or wherever. You don't want to cut yourself shaving, and you're going to want the best tool in the biz, and that's Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. Guys, it's time to get your own ball hair and body trimmer with Manscaped to make me time the best time and enhance your confidence with some nice smooth boys. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code KURT, K-U-R-T, at manscaped.com. Your balls thank you. All right, so this is from Woke Wolf Dog. He used to be Woke Watchdog, I think, but now it's Wolf Dog. Now this is a anti. Okay, this is one of these things where I don't know if it's a joke or not. Like I've had to like take real time, and be like, is this like? All right, go ahead, play this.
Macho, punch, tough guy.
That's so passe. That's not my future.
Macho, grab. Oh, you're annoyed?
That's so toxic. I'm a feminist boy.
Want me be a man who has all the feet. still keep it real.
I don't have to be tough just to get respect.
I know words, not fists, solve arguments.
Watch me be a man who doesn't only wear blue. Why can't pink and purple be boy colors too?
What?
I feel bad for macho men who won't wear sparkles. Those old color codes are so patriarchal. Macho, punch, tough guy, girl. That is so passe. That is not my future. Macho, grab. Oh, you're annoyed. That's so toxic. I'm a feminist boy. Watch me be an Asian man who plays leading roles. Cause we can be heroes. We've got more than Jackie Chan. We've got more than Bruce Lee. Watch out, Hollywood. Here's life starring me. Watch me be a baller like Jeremy Lin. I got game, no need to be as tall as him.
Don't need to be big just to be a winner. Don't need to be a girl to help cook dinner.
Give it up for the feminist boy. He knows that we aren't playing coy. We don't want to be saved. We are already brave. Cause girls who make history are really well behaved. Watch me be a man who asks for consent. I stand up to bullies who disrespect.
If you need to be heard, I'm a good listener.
I love my mom. I'm an ally to my sisters. Give it up for the feminist boy.
I'm a feminist boy.
Oh my God, dude.
Masculinity as you go, fragility.
We're still doing this? Okay, it's almost done. Jesus. It's a long video.
Dude.
So, I don't know where
I'm
that
with
came
you.
from, though.
I don't know. In this day and age, I cannot tell you if that is somebody putting a parody together or if they are deadly serious.
I think it's deadly serious, but here's the game on this one. Because I had one where a guy was talking about when he realized what white privilege was because he was the only white guy at a Steve Harvey show. Okay?
That's privilege, Jesus.
And I'm like, okay, is this real? There's no fucking way that this is real.
Right.
But it was real. Like, so you start to watch, you go, there's a fake, and you go, wait a minute. Is this? And then you're like, oh my, and then at the end, not only, so it was real, and he's a comedy writer, by the way, and it was also real. He works for Nickelodeon, so like he had like that big curly, yeah, he had that curly pedophile hair and the, like the harmless fat guy with glasses and that curly fucking pedo hair. They got a nice pompadour, a lot of these.
A lot of the pedos have a nice fucking pompadour.
Yeah, they always have this fun, like, kid
friendly.
They're not
like, your hair is awesome. Yes, it is.
We say Latinx now. I mean,
right. The only thing that made me think that wasn't a parody was that they get into things that would get too much criticism if it was a parody. People would look at them talking about certain things and be like, oh, that's Asian hate. If you were goofing on this, that's Asian hate. But if you're real, then it's awesome.
Well, so this is my big question of it. I think it's real, but where was it made? Was it made by someone in another country? Because there's some, like, the thing of, like, pink and blue are such a strange, like, in America, pink's been in style since I was in high school.
Yeah, but
like,
if you're trying to make a video
it's for brown people, they're making that. That's to get to, like, oh yeah, that's like to get to the POC of the BIPOC. Because you notice that they were all like. Well, here's the thing that overwhelmingly people don't like that are brown. That kind of horse shit. Like, I don't know if you know, like, they're like, you have to be very rich, like, or in like the whatever tokenized whatever class of
Yeah.
Like, if I hear somebody who's Latin saying Latinx, I'm like, oh, you're like a rich.
I've never heard it, by the way.
I've only in show business. I've heard people in show business say that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody I know personally was like, oh yeah, that's great. I wanted some random. It's like
they're trying that one so hard. They're trying to push that Latinx thing so hard, and
the nerve that you just get to declare.
Isn't catching on.
It's just I looked it up where it came from, and I don't remember the exact, but it's like some lesbian in like Topeka or something just said like, hey, from now on it's Latinx, and like, yeah,
Peakex.
But like, Who you decide that? That's when
Yeah, yeah.
Why? What? So wait, why are these words mean this? Like, well, words change over time.
Well, I don't like that shit either because, like, the cisgender thing really bothers me because
we spoke
I
about
don't
that.
want to be called cis. It sounds like sissy. It sounds like your sister. It sounds like make sissy. It's like,
on
and I
purpose
didn't
designed for
say that. That's no heterosexual person said, yeah, cis, let's roll with that.
No, right. If somebody wants to be called whatever, that's cool.
Yeah,
but you don't get to pick my thing.
Yeah. I didn't get to pick yours, although I did, but you didn't like them because they were really offensive.
I'm demisexual is what I am.
Demisexual.
I like demisexual. That's whose daughter said that, and she's
God, is that good? Yes, who just said that? Demisexual.
It's somebody's famous daughter, and she says,
yeah,
she can only have sex with someone she has a personal connection. If she feels
right, but it doesn't matter what their sex is.
It's just like you can only have like how I don't even see what's demi. This is why I'm hung up on is really, and it's very like Aspergery maybe to get hung up on, but if you go like I'm watching Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato just announced that not to be too hard on yourself if you like forget her pronouns of they.
Oh wow, that's very nice of her.
Andrew Cuomo's daughter's demisexual. Hilarious.
That's who it was. Andrew Cuomo.
What's her name? Stephanie. She sounds like Stephanie Cuomo. Sounds like that would be her name. But
is that the one that was going out with the cop that Andrew sent up to the Canadian border when he found out he was dating?
I didn't know about that.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Wow.
Dude, one of his daughters, I think. How many does he have? If it's one daughter, then it's got to be her. But yeah, the state trooper, New York State trooper, was going out with his daughter. Andrew didn't like him. They were seeing each other, and he personally talked to the brass and had him sent up to the Canadian border. It's been it was about a couple of years ago, I guess.
Oh, that's pretty great. That's
like
he's known for all that kind of shit.
Oh, yeah. He's a real like
Chris Christie, the Chris Christie closed the bridge down kind of.
Right.
Almost like a ratcheted up version.
They think they're like they're politicians, but they really want to be Italian mobsters.
Yeah,
like they love the thought of being a tough guy and a made man and I'll shut that bridge down or I'll send that son of a bitch up to Canada.
Everybody loves that. Dude, everybody
Who
loves
doesn't,
that.
of course. But you're not supposed to be a elected official and act like
That's supposed to be the one place where there's nothing like that.
You're representing the people, thank you.
Yeah. You're supposed to have like almost Mormon ethics of
high moral integrity.
Well, dude, that because I watch all those mafia. The whole mafia has a podcast now. I don't know if you know.
The mafia has a podcast.
Like, what does the mafia do to make money now? They entirely have moved to podcasting. With Michael Corleone's dream of going legit. Like, hey, I'm going to start a podcast.
I got my Patreon.
Yeah, you have to bring your Patreon.
Patreon.
So I watch all of them. Like, because what's great is they all start to have mobster rivalries with each other as shows. They have like beefs.
They're still doing it.
Yeah, like their O&A versus Stern beef.
Yeah.
And they fucking it's all like who's a liar about who killed. First of all, my favorite premise of all of these is to tell kids. They're doing this to tell kids how not cool it is to be a gangster. Okay.
Meanwhile,
I just want to remind you. I'm not in any way glorifying this, but I baseball batted 7 of them in the fucking head, and another's like, it's like I don't mean to brag, but I mean I'm like, I did some crazy shit, and now I have a podcast, so I mean I guess consequences of it.
Yeah, God bless. God bless.
Don't do crime.
Don't do crime.
Yeah, you know Hannibal May had a joke that was I remember about like seeing in gangs like there's only 2 ways it ends up in prison or dead, and he's like, I could be the guy that goes and tells people not to join a gang in school. Like, there's that ending. So these guys all have rivalries, and they all accuse each other of lying about shit. And they one guy issued a challenge this other guy to fight him in the octagon.
Holy shit!
Like, but the number one best, and I can't recommend it enough, is Sammy the Bull Gravano's. Of all the mob podcasts, like his is unbelievable. It's riveting.
Really?
Dude, that guy could tell a story It's amazing how he tells a story. I think I played
told plenty in court.
Yeah, I probably played it on my show already. I know I did, but where he's talking about Steven Seagal, like because I guess one of the remaining Gaudis wanted to extort. Seagal didn't want to make movies anymore, and he went in the mountains to, like, whatever, be Buddhist. The way he's describing it is so funny. And he goes, and so the mob owned him like the whole time. And I remember hearing something in the news about it. That Steven Seagal's like, yeah, the mafia made me make those movies.
Holy shit! Really?
That? Yeah.
Obviously, they were money makers, I guess.
It was around the time. I might be fucking up the time, but whenever Curtis Sliwa got shot.
Oh yeah. That was.
And I didn't know the story of how he got shot too. It was like a real. I thought like he just got shot in the ass jumping out. It was like, they had the handles removed.
Dude, they
shot a
they
lot.
set him up in that cab to be murdered, and by some grace of God, he got out of that fucking thing. Amazing.
He was a superhero.
I just saw him the other day on 35th. I was coming out of Sullivan's over there on 35th, and he was out there. I'm like, hey, Curtis, how you doing, man?
That is amazing that he's
my card. Here's my card. I'm going to fucking...
Yeah, I roasted him in Kubi at a thing. I mean, they're nice guys. Like,
he's a nice enough guy. He seems to be, have legitimate concerns for the city, but...
He's like, realistically, if you start, when people go in the movie Kick-Ass, like, how come nobody becomes a superhero?
Right. Why doesn't anybody become a superhero?
He was Red Beret Man or whatever.
Yeah, the fucking raspberry beret.
I think they had to fake some of their, and the hero would have to fake some of his crimes.
Some of his conquests. Yeah. I think like they had another guy, and he would be like, hey, you, give me your money. And they'd be like, oh, we put him in a chokehold. It was great. Like, oh, look, we solved a crime, or we thwarted a crime.
Yeah, no, they did that with like a kidnapping or something. So anyway, Steven's telling the story about Steven Seagal. Like he worked for it and he didn't want to make movies anymore. And whatever Gotti was on the out, not John, was in prison, was like, no, he has to come back and make movies. He wanted to like force him to make more movies.
Oh my God.
By the way, it would probably be much better movies than the movies he makes now. And so they went and extorted him with some guy from the docks. Who Samuel's like, that's not who you bring. Because first of all, just let him go. He paid you the money. He doesn't want to act. What are you going to make him act? But no, he goes, that's your Gotti's. Each one more retarded than the next. He's got, hilarious lines. And he goes, so he has him come in, and I guess Steven Seagal shit his pants. The reason Sammy the Bull knew is because, so he was dealing with the FBI or something at the time, and Steven Seagal didn't go and tell on the mob at all. The mob, the FBI had surveillance on everywhere these mobsters went, so they were already surveilling Steven Seagal just because he had talked to them. So they have everything on tape of them threatening him and him like shitting his pants and all that.
Wow.
So when they came to the FBI came to Seagal and said, we know what's going on. He turned white and like he was sobbing. And when he gave his testimony, he had one of those blankets. I don't know. There's like a blanket, I guess they give like kids when they're molested.
Telling him where the guy touched you. And
and they have like a blanket. He had that. They give you like a blanket. Dude, he's telling us, and he goes,
this is crazy. Come on.
And he goes, fuck. It was so funny what shit.
I gotta listen to Sammy's fucking podcast.
He said something about Steven Seagal, like, did they kiss? Like, he has great timing. I just watch it. It's better than me recounting it, but just if you're like, I'm not going to look that up. It's a good Steven Seagal story.
I don't understand how. Like, I don't think the mafia just went after actors and said, "Hey, asshole, you're going to work for us."
You're like with like a boxer, probably.
Seagal must have been like talking all grandiose about the mob and met a couple of guys and talked some shit.
They probably
trying to be
him.
in. Yeah, probably backed him. And then he's like,
remember the stories of from Seagal? It was like he was a cop that's like friendly with like the good mob to hunt down the bad mobster. Like those are mob-made movies.
Oh,
and he's like, they're like, hey, we'll bankroll. It's like how they would make porn. They make scenes.
Right, yeah.
And they're actually like kind of good. Especially when you're like, oh, these are like Deep Throat-esque mafia crime movies.
Yeah,
they're pretty good when you think about it.
I love how they incorporated that in The Sopranos, where they made that movie Cleaver. Did you Sopranos?
Yeah, right. And he had
it was part of like they obviously knew that was a thing that they would do is bankroll these shitty movies.
Wait, which Baldwin was it?
Yeah.
It wasn't Steven.
I think was it Billy?
No,
it wasn't Billy.
It was the fatter Baldwin.
Yeah,
the reason I'm trying to remember is funny. He goes like, wait, I have to get his name. You'll be like hitting yourself when you realize you don't remember this guy. He's like the fattest Baldwin. Okay, because that's one of my favorite Sopranos.
Steven.
No, Steven's the one that went Christian. Daniel.
Oh. Daniel. Fuck. How did I not know that?
I know.
God damn it.
So remember after the movie, Christopher, because Ben Kingsley was supposed to be in, but Christopher scared him. And he goes, wow, Daniel Baldwin really took Ben Kingsley to school in the acting, acting school.
He goes, so how'd it go with Ben Kingsley?
And he's like, oh no, he was totally wrong for the part. Meanwhile, Ben Kingsley spent the entire episode trying to get away from Christopher. It's so fucking brilliant. I love that guy.
He's on the plane with him at the end.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, oh yeah, fuck. Oh,
what's this guy getting hurt video that you were telling me about?
Oh, the one with the do you got that clip? It's the guy. It's the the guy's supposed to run in this big counterbalanced ring.
And this is an American thing?
And it swings. It looks like, I think it's in every white trash festival fair thing in the middle America. And this is brutal.
Oh, to that song?
Yeah, that's the last thing you're hearing. The clown in the back is hilarious. He just can't believe what's going on.
Wait, I didn't see the clown. Like, let me see the clown.
Yeah, the clown in the yellow in the back. He's watching and he goes like, oh, you can't imagine this guy, little clown in the yellow.
Oh, he's a clown.
He's like, oh. And there's 5 people in front of him. This guy is paralyzed because, they do call it the ring of death or something. So
from the top, it's really the ring of paralysis if they want to be. They want to get really specific about it.
The ring of paralysis. You're doing that in front of 10 people at some county fair. How much could he possibly be making? And sometimes
it's like isn't that the origin of Robin from Batman?
Yeah, it's got to be some kind of a. I think that would be more a villain, though, right?
Two-Face sabotage the ring of death.
Yeah.
Dude, did you watch? I don't have Netflix anymore, but a bunch of friends of mine have like nerd channels, on YouTube. Like, I mean, every time I may have brought this up to you, like, like I'm too old to really give a shit about like Star Wars and shit, but like the battles behind it, like the wars that the productions have, is like so much more interesting
than the actual movies. Yeah.
So I watch all that shit of like the backstage because it's like fascinating watching how like these train wrecks are made. But do you see the Kevin Smith? I didn't know, Kevin Smith was a big name when I was like.
Sure.
I live near Red Bank and shit, where his comic. Yeah, like that was a big the '90s like Jersey thing.
Huge.
Jay was a huge fan of his Jay and Silent Bob movies.
Yeah.
Like I liked him in parts. You know? But I didn't have any whatever. I just remember, this guy from Jersey. And then I don't know when, but I guess apparently he became like a guy that like cries. Like you
At
can
the
pay
drop
him.
of a hat, dude.
Yeah, it's like a service he does.
Come on, like.
Yeah, Mike.
Like a cameo, but for crying.
Will you find Kevin Smith crying compilation?
He will cry at everything now.
Dude, it's fun. Like I'm laughing because I'll see that all the time. Like those are very popular. Like people eating like pigs into a camera is very popular. Do you know that mukbang? It's called mukbang.
Oh yeah. Where people are just shoving food in their faces. Girls especially, they like girls.
Well, there's this like fat guy that cries while he does it, which
that is awesome.
Avocado.
Boy, you find some great fucking rabbit holes, don't you?
They're pretty. I have to like.
I shouldn't start with science and space travel the night of YouTube. Where do you start to bring you to that shit?
You know, I do watch a lot of those.
Do you?
YouTube, I gotta say, gives me very varied things. It's not like I just get, they're like, "Oh, bubble." I don't really get that. I get a bunch of. I think to just have one thing sent to me, really got to be one thing.
I got you.
So, yeah, so yeah, there's mukbang. I just want to make. I want to start a video where it's called Bang Muck, and I shit out. It's like I show you the bags from the fast food, and I'm like, and then I cry and shit. It's called Bang Muck. So,
this is a winner here. You got this is huge.
Yeah, Bang Muck.
That would be giant.
Yeah, we're very big in Korea.
Yeah,
it's a Korean thing. That's what mukbang is. It's Korean.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of Asian viral videos are some of the strangest shit.
Yeah, Korea really has some interesting.
Yeah.
And oh, okay. So Kevin Smith's professional crier.
Oh right.
Tell me when we have that video. But so I guess they remade He-Man. Do you remember He-Man?
Sure.
I had them when I was a kid. I had a He-Man and I had
no.
And I had a Man-at-Arms doll that both got stolen from me at my elementary school in Cleveland.
Bastards.
My mom said, "Don't bring your toys to school." And I was such a naive Christian boy.
It's like, don't take your guns to town. Don't bring your toys to school. Don't bring your toys to school.
Yeah, that's it. Don't bring your toys.
I told you, son.
What I did.
Yeah.
So kids would, I mean, I was like fresh meat for like Cleveland.
So
He's like, "Hey, can I they would just ask me like borrow it? Like if they're going to the bathroom, they're gonna play with it."
Were you like, "Sure"? Or did you be like, "Oh God, I know it's
sure, brothers," and like, I know. Now, okay.
No.
In fairness, though, my mom, I give her credit. They had me ready to dodge dicks if they came at me at a young age. My mom's like, "Listen, people do weird shit, and nobody can do that." That was not my one blind spot. Like, you couldn't come in with a dick, but
right,
just understanding that other kids aren't raised in like a doomsday cult like me, where they think that Jesus is watching their moves. So
hard to, yeah.
So kids would leave with these He-Man, and then they come back.
About them stealing your shit.
Lost it because I lost it in the bathroom. I was like, "Oh crap! Oh man!" She should be furious. What an idiot I was. She's like, "I told you not to don't bring your toys to school.
Don't bring your toys to school, son. Keep your toys at home, man."
It's for show and tell. It's like,
yeah, show and tell was a thing, right? Okay, that makes sense.
Where they helped instill the consumerist.
Right.
Like,
look what I have and you don't.
Yeah, like kids need to learn the economy, right? So show and tell, like, I got this. I'm like, oh, that.
Everything is so cynical.
You would feel like I'm cool as a person.
Right. Because you would try to find the best thing for show and tell that no one else had, and people would be like, "Oh fuck, I wish I had that."
Sometimes in fantasy show and tell, you could bring a thing from your heart or whatever. You could bring. I had like arrowheads my grandfather gave me. Like you could bring other shit.
That's fucking great, right?
At that age, it's like your toys, like your toys. So
yeah.
Anyway, my other He-Mans, I had to get rid of them because I'll never forget this. My God, it was so. My mom and dad sat me down because I'm playing with these toys, and he's like, "Why are they all?" My dad's just like, "Why are they all fucking jacked?" Like it was like, you know how they were grotesque looking.
Yeah. They were.
I mean,
not
they were
really
like,
human looking.
They were like actually disgusting. That's what was awesome about them. I'm like, why is he like so much? So my dad is like, "Oh, those are based on like Nephilim. You know Nephilim, the bastard sons of fallen angels that saw women and came down and had relations with them." And
I swear I have no idea what that is. I'm not very religious.
Okay, so part of the reason Noah's Ark happened, the flood, I guess, or how the story was told to me, I don't know, was to drown all these giants because angels were looking at the daughters of man, and they were like, "I want to fuck them."
Of course, fucking hot.
And so they came down and they nutted in all these women, and then they gave birth to giant offsprings who caused much. And the scripture, it was like, these were the mighty men of old. So what I would have believed as a kid was like all the heroes, like Hercules. You know, the story of Hercules is like a god comes down and impregnates a woman.
Yeah.
Demigod. So we looked at it like, oh, this is obviously they're referring, that's what they mean. Like all the heroes, also superheroes, are kind of a tribute to the star man, the Nephilim. Like, and they didn't say that to me at Superman and shit. Although I guess this argument applies to that, but they said to me because they were so like ridiculously big.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't like inherent violence of things, you know, because we're Christians. They didn't.
Your parents sound like they were ridiculously Christian.
Well, it is ridiculous to be Christian if you do it. Like, I don't think that
like even mildly Christian is ridiculous.
I don't mean that. I don't mean that to say that it's bad. I mean,
no,
it's
I'm not
like
either.
It's so opposite. This is like one reason I would have liked Patrice is like it's so opposite of what the rest of the world does.
Yeah.
Generally, that's what's ridiculous. I'm not like trying to put down being, but it is like, you know. So if you believe it, like my dad believed, and like there's a real story. The angels, you know, came down and made giant babies with women, and God had to drown the earth in a flood because of how bad they are.
And that would get the giants because they're.
Yeah, and so
they're tall.
Giants could have just been, you know, they didn't necessarily like. I guess in certain things the giants are like enormous. Like there's a apocryphal story that's not in the regular Bible that dirty pagan Catholics have in their Bible about how Moses has to kill a Nephilim and he has to strike its foot with his axe. And even the Bible, when they're putting it together, they're like, this is too ridiculous even for this book.
We're cutting this out. Cutting room floor. Yeah, the Bible cutting room floor.
They had to do like retcons and canonization, anyway, Nephilim are the sons of demons because demons are fallen angels. So that's what I'm playing with. And like, so my dad was like, you know, you can keep them if you want, but do you want to be playing with Nephilim? And I was like, no.
Wow.
And then I threw them away.
How old were you?
6.
That's tough for a 6-year-old to fathom. Come on.
Well, here's the thing. Funny.
I don't think you should put a 6-year-old through that kind of choice.
I'll tell you what.
Hey, they're fun. I like them.
But that's the thing you were saying. You know about like everybody likes the mob thing. Everything has a like because Sammy the Bull. If you watch Why He Left, is like he's like watching a thing about Koresh, and he's like, "Wait, am I in a cult?" He said to himself. Because he was, and if you hear him talk, he was all about it. Okay, he's all about the thing. The mafia is like this beautiful thing.
Yeah,
right? And he revered it like I don't know, people. If you work the FBI, like how people act about the fucking FBI, whatever. Take your pick. So I had the thing that's so funny when I see people talking about that is like what I can identify with, even though like I shouldn't even had violent toys, so it wasn't like I lived that. Was I'm ready to die for this. At any minute. Not only am I ready to die, I'd be happy to. That'd be a lot of pressure off. As a kid, I'd be like, you know, if we got suddenly thrown in a coliseum to be eaten by lions, I would have had pure fucking faith that I wouldn't have as an adult. As a kid, I would have it. I would grow up. I'd be like, I don't know, but
right.
As a kid, I was like,
as a kid, you had it.
Yeah. So I was like prepared for that. I was prepared for everything except to hold on to my goddamn toys. Around worldly children, that one no preparation for. But when the zombies come, I'm totally good to go. So anyway, He-Man is now. I wonder, like my dad, when he's like talking about Nephilim, because the new Kevin Smith remake, there's this whole controversy, because you know how everything now. So He-Man's a boy's toy for boys,
right?
I mean, it couldn't be more to the point of you're teaching children homosexuality almost.
It's very masculine,
like,
manly.
It's something like really like looks like kitsch the more years away from it. But there's people who are still fans of He-Man. Now, as a kid, I was like, oh, cool, He-Man. But even as a kid, the story of He-Man, I was aware was like pure horseshit. I mean, not even slightly. It was a guy with a secret identity in barbarian times, and he was a prince that would transform into He-Man, who was just him with his shirt off. And he'd say, by the power of Grayskull, and then he would go into battle with these mutants and not use his sword.
Why?
Because it's a cartoon. They can't actually have violence, just the implication.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
He would take time to tell him not to do drugs in the postscript at the end of the show.
Yeah, and then
that's why I remember He-Man.
Action figures and stuff.
Yeah, like G.I. Joe couldn't have, like, cool... They shot robots. Cobra had an...
Yeah, they couldn't actually fight the commies or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, meanwhile, Japanese cartoons, they're... fucking what was it like shooting kids' kneecaps out with lasers and just awesome Saturday things. But,
awesome.
So He-Man stunk. So Kevin Smith made for Netflix the series. Like,
I heard the controversy. There's a little.
So it's a funny thing because like
She-Ra or something.
No, She-Ra was remade.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But people could like whatever their dumb thing. I'm like, because what I realize now is that's why nobody stuck up for comedy or anything when the
yeah, just because I don't like it or
like
something.
that Holocaust poem. I did not defend.
And then they came for me.
I did not defend the grown He-Man fans, and then they came for me. But it is like there is a thing where I'm like, who cares about that? But I'm like, ew. So this is a thing for kids. So I remember as a kid being like, oh, cool, He-Man, that's cool. So that's like, okay, so for kids they have it. So they made it so he's killed off, and then the chick from the show is the main character. Like Teela, the side,
Teela. See, I thought that was like She-Ra. No,
Teela's
okay.
So I mean, Teela, which I remember as being the toy. So if I was playing with my sister,
she'd have someone for her to play. Right.
No, because the whole story revolves around making toys for kids. It's not like a thing that they adapted into toys. It was like some guy liked Conan, which is pretty cool, and then made a toy, a stupid toy with. So on that level, it works. Like the story didn't work, but as a dumb kid with stupid. So like Teela's like if I was playing myself, she would have a Teela. So there's it's like designed like that. Really, kids, the way you do it is you just mix all your, like we would have her Barbies and like my G.I. Joes all playing the same.
And they wouldn't even be to scale.
No, not to scale. Inevitably, it would be like the tail would turn dark and they'd be fucking in with like
always same thing.
Them.
Same thing. Me, my sister.
That's what you do. That's what kids do.
Not me and my sister. Our toys, G.I. Joe and Barbie.
Well, we were 30 when we did this, but
oh, okay, that's healthy.
So now He-Man is all about the chick. Like all the things that were made for boys like that you have to see the man, just like those kids, those boys dancing around.
Yeah.
You've got to cut the balls off of the man in some way. You have to show, and I don't know why. Will you play? Okay, let's look at Kevin Smith crying first of all.
Kevin Smith crying to get a little.
This is what? Because this guy was such a hardcore fan of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a famous story about Superman, you know?
Oh, yeah. The Superman script he wrote.
Right.
Never got. Yeah, it's amazing.
Where a hairdresser's like, don't make him fly. And like.
Right.
And there's got to be a spider.
Yeah, the spider.
And now.
And then the Wild West.
He seems like a guy who like. Can't wait to. Oh, yeah, spider. I'm crying. That's how great of an idea it is.
Yeah. Oh, no.
All right, press play.
I'm a middle-aged stoner. Everything touches me.
I woke up early, started smoking. I said, you know what? I'll watch Onward. This looks cute. Holy f***.
Oh, Kevin. Oh, my God!
This shit's cruel, man.
I'm a middle-aged stoner. Everything.
Oh, that's just one. He's got a million of them, dude.
Dude,
he cries about everything.
He literally went like.
Hey, I want to take a really quick break to tell you about Rock Auto. Hey there, you auto mechanics and super cool do-it-yourself guys who work on their own cars. Do they even have those men anymore? Well, I salute you. And I also want to tell you about rockauto.com, the online store with every auto part at the best prices. This is your one-stop shop for everything auto parts. RockAuto.com has been in business for 20 years, and they make it easy to find the parts you need at the best possible prices. No more talking to counter guys who need to order your parts, aren't really sure what you're looking for, have never quite what you need, and then after all the hassle, will still charge you storefront markups. At RockAuto.com, you can easily find everything you need, whether you're a mechanic, an auto shop, or working on your own car. Everyone has access to the same incredible pricing at rockauto.com. So if you're a car guy, right now go to rockauto.com and check out all the parts available for your car. You're going to have so much fun looking at car parts because that's what these car people are into. So once more, go to rockauto.com. No promo code needed as their pricing is already that good. They're already at Rock Auto pricing. They can't go lower. Go and order and tell them you heard about them on Can't Get Right. Now let's get back to the show. Yeah, so apparently when this was coming out, it leaked what He-Man is now. So She-Ra was remade already. Do you know what that looks like?
No.
It's a CalArts style lesbian nightmare.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
It's for girls, like, you know, so like that's what girls are into now. It's called the undercut. It's called The Undercut. That fucking. Will you get a picture of the new He-Man, Tila, Mike? Just like put in new He-Man. You'll see. Like, just put lesbian and it'll pop up. So, yeah, because now everybody, because this is, I don't think people get like, they're like, yes, this is especially for kids.
Yeah.
And it really is wild, man. Like, and as somebody who was religious, who was taught like all this stuff is like, Jehovah's Witnesses aren't violent or do whatever, but God should burn you with fire for using the wrong hole. We love you. Like, I would never say it to someone who's Jehovah's Witness. Like, I would hope that you could, and I might even think you can't help how you feel, but it's like being an alcoholic. You just can't drink.
Right.
That's how that, okay? Which, like, the nerve of having that attitude at all, looking back, of, well, I'm going to tell somebody they should just never fuck, like with an adult. I think that's how I justify it. But then I got in the world. And
and you see it.
And I go, oh, like, what I got taught about gays, even if they said it was love and this and that, was there's such degenerates. There's such absolute degenerates like that when Lot was in his city with 2 angel male guests at his house, the whole city, including the boys, wanted to like rape them.
Wow.
And that's why God had to burn Sodom and Gomorrah.
That's a wild place.
So like, it's like, because I remember it's because they're always fucking, they're always fucking all the time. And like they, AIDS, when AIDS came out, there's like the natural byproduct of like your filth is that people, that's what they do.
Huge.
They fuck in a meat locker when you do that.
Yeah.
So it turned out, and it's like, but by the way, I think we have all these new categories now. If you just let gay people be gay, they end up kind of boring like everybody else. Just like,
it's not special anymore. It's not special. So they needed to make subgroups that would be special for that moment. Right. And then, I'm pansexual. I'm fucking non-binary.
Yeah, it's
right.
Really subversive.
You need, because gays, there are certain groups that are fighting for equality constantly. And then when they get it, they're not victims anymore. They can be called assholes. True equality, you could be called assholes, and you could be told at work that you suck because you suck. But if you're a special group, you can never be chastised. You can't be criticized, nothing. And that's what happened with these gay subgroups. So now it's like, oh, yeah, I'm fucking non-binary. Well, all right.
Well, if I talk to people that everybody knows, I'm old. I guess I'm over, I don't know. I'm 45, so I guess old. So the kind of gays I would know are from a different generation.
The old gays.
Where it was like, like John Waters, funny people kind of.
Right. Yes.
And like Joan Rivers fans and all that. And so now, and it's so radically different with like the younger kids where they're like, it's like you took less than a quarter of the shit that a guy who's gay that I know it's cooler than you took, and he's not babbling this nonsense.
Right. And he's not so insulted and offended and
like
feeling oppressed. Yeah.
The dream is to be the ultimate white woman. Like that's the dream of all, like, what are they fighting for? Like groups that get that precious. It's, I want to be Goop. I want to be like Gwyneth, like no matter what the color, like we all should be a kind of Gwyneth Paltrow, like, and treated like, and so I was talking to Tim Dillon about it, so you'll hear the terms come up and you're like how is queer different than how is queer different than non-binary than whatever? They're not different.
They're not different, but if you watch TikTok videos with some of these girls get on there and start talking and pontificating about gender, different genders, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck you just said.
Well, that's when it's passed into my girlfriend said, she was funny, she's like, kids were into bands, like when she was in school, like I don't know, I was young, I guess it was like my area was like punk bands, but I don't know what, she's 10 years younger, so that's a different, I don't know what bands they like, but you'd be like core, you try to be like hardcore.
Right, yeah, sure.
And I remember that term, like what, and she said, like, people would argue about what kind of core you are, which is like, I'm like, and now it's just queer. Queer turned into like, you don't need a band. Punk bands were cool, were like cool to people because like probably why somebody likes rap, like, or like doo-wop or whatever. Anybody could just do it in the street, and
Yeah.
But now that. You don't need any music or whatever. We just talk about, it's the most I've ever seen people talk about their fucking genitals and sexuality with the least amount of sex is okay society.
Yeah, it's not sexual whatsoever.
Talk about
it's
it all day
totally
long.
about your sexuality and genitals, but it has nothing to. When you're listening to them talk about it, it is the least sexual thing. Could you imagine when I was in high school, if girls were talking about their sexuality as much as kids are now, I'd be jacking off in the hallways. It would have been the most awesome thing ever. But it was just kind of left where it was. I don't know. Now, and queer, by the way, you can't. Can you say that? Can I say queer? Because that was a derogatory term for a while. All of a sudden, a derogatory term becomes mainstream, and now it's like, oh yeah, he's queer. It's like queer. That's what you called the asshole that couldn't throw a football in school with. He was
there was a violent game called Smear the Queer.
Smear the Queer.
You went to an enlightened school.
Yeah. Well, that's the queer way to say it.
Yeah, no, people listen. It's like a thing, like it's synonymous. You know, that treadmill of that. You're like, well, okay, don't say gay to mean this or that. Like, okay, fine, but so guess what fills in now? Cuck. There's always scientists working to make the new thing of these like universal. Yeah, there's always like.
Yeah.
It feels like a big waste of time. All of it,
found
but
a good one. My favorite is the N word, which is just like.
You mean just the word itself, or the
word? No. Well, the word itself. Just saying the N word is just as you know exactly what it is. You could say it with as much disdain as you can the actual word. They just came up with another way where newscasters and TV shows can say it, and you just transpose it in your head. You don't just go N word. What is that?
I mean,
nicotine. I don't know what the.
I would like it if like the new correct words didn't sound like insult. Like BIPOC sounds like a slur.
BIPOC. It really does.
People, like
people of
you think
color.
That sounds nice to hear? Like, this fucking BIPOC. You know that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like how the word retarded was a medical condition, or moron was a medical condition.
Yeah, and BIPOC's moving in next door.
BIPOC's not going to be a good.
It has slur written all over it. It sounds bad.
What is a slur?
It's got that hard fucking at the end. It's
got all the hallmarks of insult. And then so you just like add time to it, and it's going to be like so. Anyway, I remember why we got it.
They'll have to get rid of that one.
Yeah. Why do we even get on this topic?
Who knows?
Because I was smoking weed, but I was telling you about someone Kevin Smith.
Oh yeah, Kevin Smith crying and He-Man.
Oh right, okay. So it's the most talking about your genitals time, but like the most I've ever heard of adults accusing other adults of sexualizing them.
Yeah.
Like, which is bizarre. And then the most of for kids, by all means, get as much of it in their face. Like an adult should like. Here's where it's grossly inappropriate to speak about these kind of things, like at your job to another adult in a social, in a hotel. In a hotel, it's inappropriate. Where is it appropriate? Like at the library for a class of kids.
Right.
Or like that's where you bring your dildo monkey.
Right. Bring library. Your different
that's
sexualities.
Where you or like I know Pete Dominic too. You know Pete Dominic?
Uh-huh.
This is the worst take I've ever heard in my life. That Pete is like 6-year-old twerking in Times Square.
Sense. Yeah.
And it's like, you guys have it was one of those like, you guys have the problem if you think that's sexual.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, it's not even it's just like an, oh, come on, like, it's probably not that bad. You're actually like, how could you even think for a minute that twerking.
A twerking 6-year-old
a stripper ass clapping dance.
Right.
Being done by a 6-year-old. There's nothing sexual about that.
No, it's disturbing.
There's nothing wrong with a child waving a dildo around.
It's a problem. But you could say that about anything. You could have like literal child porn going on and go, oh, well, that's your problem. And you're like, wait, how is that my problem? No, it's your fucking problem. How they don't see some of the most inappropriate shit that's going on right now is beyond.
Here's why. Everyone's supposed to be a child forever. That's the new system.
Right.
Whoever you're voting for, just so you know, that's the thing, is you're going to be a child and you're going to not have stuff, the whole Davos fucking special. But the reason there's two things. One, not necessarily a pedophile conspiracy, which like certainly looks like it when you would look at media. It's more of a propaganda thing, which is we need to get whatever your feelings are with you teach it. Because I went to a church that taught me gays were bad, even if we love the sin or hate the sin, whatever. That also sex out of marriage, but that's bad. Okay, and on my own, I rejected that because I was like, that's propaganda. Like it's a ridiculous thing. So I didn't need, as a child, to be bombarded with gay shit in my face to make sure that I feel the way you want me to feel about it.
Oh,
like,
right. Yeah.
The thing is, if you have parents raising you correctly and you can make that happen by making sure, people aren't starving or whatever, they're going to have a natural thing to just be reasonable. If you teach people to be reasonable, then you don't have to worry about individual propaganda of like, once you teach people to reason, most of them are going to reason.
Yeah, you could figure it out yourself.
But we don't want you to do that. That's a problem.
No.
Like we don't like
independent thought. Oof.
Yeah, like can we eliminate that? And also, so then this weird thing happens where this grotesquely inappropriate shit with kids is constantly. And then don't forget, there are real pedophiles who that's the perfect time to slip in.
Jeez,
and go,
yeah.
When that Cuties movie, what was it called?
It was called Cuties.
Yeah, no, but I always like to say it in French because it's worse.
It's worse in French. What was
Mignons. Have you seen Mignon? I had Corinne Fisher on. I did Jeremy in this comic Jeremy and Corinne Fisher on. Corinne was doing that like, what is even sexual about this? You guys are being. I'm like,
what?
Corinne, would you put your kid in it? If you had a kid, would you put them in it? Like that's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's pretty much
the end. Like
the litmus test.
They're like, nah, I don't think you should be. I think somebody else can prove that point without your.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the guy who produced it. His name is like Zadaran or some weird name. The second I saw the woman being interviewed, she's like from Senegal or something. She's like, I'm like, oh, I see what her thing is about. I get what she's going for. Then I see the producer. He says some guy named Zanzibar or some fucking weirdo name.
Oh no!
And I'm like, this is here's what's happening. She probably had a sincere message. Yeah. Oh, Zengro. He goes by Zengro. That's what it is, Mike. But his real name is Sylvain de Zengronese. Wow, that sounds like the Marquis de Sade. He just goes by the name Zangro. He's the producer. So I promise he's the one that put up the money. He's like, yes, it is an important message.
I must be on the set every day.
We must hold hundreds of auditions to get the right girl. Mignon.
Mignon. No shit.
Americans are so uptight about the mignon. So, because France has a streak of, remember The Professional?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The Professional, I watched that again recently. I'm like, this is really strange. Like, as a kid, I saw it was kind of cool, but I'm like, and then I remember Natalie Portman was in, there's at least 3 movies where it was like, oh, if only you could fuck her. Like, even though she's young. Like, that was the theme, I swear to God.
It was. She was very, very sexualized in that movie. And it was
like, yeah, well, okay, so,
blatant.
that's just standard Frenchifying of a young girl. They wear the tube top and then they go to get the milk. So that's just standard French. You have some wine.
Yeah. You're so uptight, America.
Timothy Hutton was in a movie called Beautiful Girls with Michael Rappaport. And now that I recall, it's about him going back to his hometown and starting an inappropriate relationship with his, like, however Natalie Portman old.
And she was Natalie Portman. Okay.
Yeah, but at the end he's like, oh, but I just can't do it. It's not appropriate. Like, good for you, Timothy.
Meanwhile, the whole movie though is
the whole fucking movie was about and whatever with the story, it was clearly pushing that, like somebody saw a thing about her like that.
It doesn't matter if you end it with him going, nah,
like
I'll be cool. Like the whole journey was.
Yeah, like that's what the people at Cast People look for. They look for that something.
Yeah.
And I honest to God, I think it's like inappropriate fuckability. Possibly is that something. Like you can't say what it is, but it is like the charisma of like. There's some like that's what their eye is for. So the whole industry's.
The taboo, yeah.
Yeah, so somebody will now be like, oh, if only, like, holy shit! It's like 2 directors' love letters to this like young girl.
Wow. Yeah. But that's been a thing. Like Hollywood's just been this fucking bastion of perversion for a century at least, and it's you see it in even the stories they write about it. Like the casting couch has been a part of movies, and
did you watch Quentin Tarantino talking about that
on Rogan?
Shaw Brothers? Maybe it was Rogan. He took a tour of the Shaw Brothers studios. And they go, and this is the couch where he banged all the director, Shaw. Where Run Shaw ran up in the actors.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
But there's so many movies that have that, like fucking, Waltz and The Godfather.
Why do you think people thought actresses were whores and actors?
Yeah.
An actor, this is the funny is the cognitive dissonance where so acting was a profession of because I guess theater kids are timeless, like those. They seem like nerds, but they all were having sex super young and before anybody else. Like that's what I remember in school. The theater kids were like the biggest dorks, and queers by 1995 standards, but not queer. Well, I'll tell you who the queers were. This virgin.
Yeah, if only I would have fucking tried out for one of the plays.
They were going, and so they were always historically known as. That's why they wouldn't let women in the theater, because it was like a filthy, degenerate thing. Like that's why when they say that in Shakespeare that it was always drag because like a woman
guys
shouldn't sully herself.
Parts, yes,
shouldn't ruin our fucking hand job after. So when it's a dirty thing, it's like I guess like the mob running Steven Seagal. That's the whole business. It's just you have different ethnicities of, Jewish mob or whatever. It was unusual for the Italian mob, I guess, to be running someone. But it's a filthy business. And it's weird to watch these things get elevated to like, this is an important, you're almost like royalty. Like from
Yep. But the fucked up thing also is that it's been that way for so long. So many people have known about it. No one's done anything about it. And of late, you get the Harvey Weinsteins, the sacrificial lambs every so often have to be slaughtered for, to make it seem like they're looking out for the women and the kids and things like. But it's not. Right. I mean, the industry.
Cosby got out, and I knew. Back when it happened, I remember being like, okay, I think he probably. I remember Janice Dickinson told the story on Stern, and it sounded very believable to me. Okay, and I remember
even from her, yes,
it
sounded believable, right?
If you know anybody fucked up hot chick, it's very believable. It's like that's their story. It's like Bill Cosby raped them 9 times out of 10. But also. I bring this up every time, but his weird thing of making people watch him eat, which always gets buried in the Cosby story about his guilt, is like he would go on the show and they could send the young girl, like the PAs, I want her to come into my dressing room and watch me eat pasta.
Come on. I never heard this.
Yeah, this all came out. People didn't focus on it.
God, no, because his drugging and fucking women, sleeping women,
of his simulated corpse rape that he was doing.
What do you think that means? Like having women come in and watch you eat?
I think that means he's got such a control thing that it's unbelievable. Like that's the thing is like I can make you do this. And somebody told me he was at hotels. They have to come up and tuck him into his bed. You send someone up to tuck me in.
Tuck me in.
Yeah. So the drugging thing, that's worse, obviously, but I can get my head around that. This thing, it fucks me up when I think, I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you?
Thing?
I'm going to eat curry. One was curry. They had to come watch him eat a curry. And then they'd watch him eat pasta.
I would think it would be more intrusive and uncomfortable for you to watch someone else eat than it would be for someone to watch you eat. I would feel uncomfortable, and I wouldn't see that as
uncomfortable watching Cosby eat.
I'd be very uncomfortable watching Cosby eat, but
he wants them to watch him eat. It's like how Lyndon Johnson used to make his aides watch him shit.
Yeah.
And he like dangle his huge hog. He goes, "What are you saying about that?" Like send the Asians in. And he was like, that with like somebody from China, like show him his dick. Like the first thing he always does.
We're not gonna leave Vietnam.
They had a thing where they would dump giant condoms around to make them think the Americans had huge cocks and like. They made fun of it in a
hilarious.
There's a movie, Air America. They that's in the, but I think that's actually based on a real psyop. Because it's like It's a big thing to people. Things so.
Oh, that like the eating thing is so odd to me. Like, it doesn't mean anything. I've sat in a room with people eating, and I've been eating in a room where other people have been,
I'm not
and I never
eat until you get in here and watch. It's really the first mukbang. It's an involuntary mukbang.
Cosby was doing some mukbang.
Cosbang. Watch me eat a food.
I never realized that was a thing.
Like, but who tells the PAs? Like, who's the person? This is what the reckoning where they're not really doing. For all this talk about structural this and that,
right?
There's very little structural anything. There's a lot of like sacrificial lambs, like you said.
Yeah.
But there's no like, who's the person that's the producer? Like, okay, Dr. Cosby wants the PAs to come in and watch him eat. There has to be a discussion, and then what happens then? Like they go, do both the people there? They both have headphones on. Like they're like, wait, what? They have to do that, right? And they go, all right, get pay. Or is it clockwork? They're like, okay, get Becky into something. Tell them to go watch Mr. Cosby eat, and they just don't think about it.
And they don't even think about it or question it. It's just part of the gig.
I'll bet you the Nuremberg hearings would offer some insights into.
Yeah, boy, right? You're following orders. You're sending people off to.
Because that's the other thing. Like, well, we were all afraid of Cosby's power.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Well, I'm not calling any of you brave then, I guess. So then he gets out because his prosecution was so fucked. I had an argument with a friend of mine who's a smart dude, not like a jagoff, but he's like, his argument was, because he's a rich guy. And I'm like, well, I don't look. What it should be is we all get the treatment we're supposed to get by the legal system.
Yeah.
I don't need him to lose his rights. I want to make sure I have mine. Like, that mindset is like really strong.
No, the only reason he testified in the civil case was that he didn't have to be held responsible in a criminal case. And then they took what he said in the civil case and put it toward a criminal case. Now, that was it. It was an agreed deal. It's whatever it is. And I love how he got out and they're going, and this shows it exonerates Dr. Cosby. And you're like, no.
Well,
not at all.
There's not. I mean, I think like a court of law can't. Well, maybe you can be exonerated after you've gone to jail. Like they were trying to say that back with Trump with the Mueller report of like, even though this turned out to be nothing, he's not exonerated. And you're like, but you don't.
Right.
You can't exonerate.
But first of all,
I guess if he's been
if you're exonerating somebody, first you have to be convicted of the crime. I think you have to be like, oh, this happened, and then they exonerate.
It was a purely political fucking move.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing they did with. That's why, like, when I look at the Weinstein details and try to find them, tell me if you can find them, because all I can find is like, this is a victory for me too. This is bad, but there's not like details. The only details I could find was another thing I bring up constantly, but it's endlessly fascinating, is that his dick fell off. The guy's dick fell off.
It fell off.
Yeah, from some kind of diabetes. I put forward a theory that he shot cocaine in his dick, but I think I'm wrong. But because I've heard of that as a thing, that people's dicks fall off from doing that. There is a diabetes that you get where you get necrotic.
I think, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's an appendage. If you think about it, blood isn't flowing.
So this testimony, the witness saying how, so she's in the room and she wanted to leave, but he's like, oh, you think I'm fat? And like would cry, so she felt bad and stayed. And then he told her to wait, and he had to take out a kit and inject something. She thought he was intersex because he just had this weird like flap of scar tissue.
Shit.
I'm reading this. I'm like, what the? And he had his head in his hands, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah. So he injected this thing. Okay.
Holy fuck.
The whole point of it is like, what is the, like, from what I can suss out from the details, and if somebody knows better, I'd love to hear it, is there, like, she wanted to be in a movie or thought she would.
Yeah,
like
that seems to be a lot of the
But
case.
how do you prosecute that as a rape? That doesn't seem like a fucking...
Right.
Like, I mean, it just doesn't, like, legally. And I've heard he did worse shit. See, that's the thing. You hear he did worse shit than that from, what's her name? Annabella Scortia. Remember her?
Yeah, the one from Sopranos, right? She
Yeah, she played Tony's
Kumar.
Yeah, she has a story. He broke her door down, but that he wasn't on trial for that, so that's confusing.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they just took a bunch of stuff and put them to, and I'm like, how is that gonna?
Well, if it's real injecting coke into your dick and peeing on it sounds bad, but you really have to find the crime there. And if a girl is going up there and consciously going, I gotta fuck this guy to get this movie part, motherfucker.
Yeah, is it you're fired on like even if it's you're fired if I don't know.
It seems more civil case to me than
Yeah, right. But what is
like? Yeah,
I don't know the law, but like. It's just weird to not know any of the details. And the same thing with like the Cosby case. Because I didn't know that Cosby said, oh yeah, I gave them Quaaludes. Right? Like that's what he himself says he did that.
Yeah. But it was in a deposition for a civil case. And then
so is that
they said, oh, we can't use as long as you do this, we'll never bring it to a criminal case. We'll never bring this up in a criminal case. And then they used it to get a grand jury to indict him. And they never should have been allowed to do that. They made a deal. That doesn't mean he's innocent. It doesn't mean he didn't do this, which is funny because they paraded around like, oh, he's a great guy and he was illegally put in jail. But you got to fight. The rules are rules, motherfucker. You made a deal. That's the deal.
No, I don't think anybody understands and as long as I've been alive, everybody's like overjoyed when it's like I don't think any famous case you've ever seen, where the person's guilty or not, it probably has not been a fair trial ever once.
I don't think so. You're right.
Because
I don't think it can be.
Even going back to fucking Manson. Oh my God, I got to get this. I'm supposed to have this thing that comes every time I say fuck because I say it like a.
Oh, like it's a crutch. I hate crutches.
It sounds. I can't even listen. In fact, I think. Bobby got COVID. That's why he probably wasn't quick. I'm supposed to have a little Biden pop up and go, "Come on, man!" Every time I.
Oh man.
Yeah, and but anyway, it didn't work out last week. Anyway, what were we just talking about before I said that?
Oh yeah,
Cosby.
Yeah.
So he nobody seems to get for some reason that it comes back on you. If you jump on board with any of these things, like this is what disturbs me is when I'll talk to people, they're like, I'm like, yeah, he should get out. And they're like, angry. I'm like, you understand what a disaster it would be if that stood? Like people can't get their head around that.
Yeah. It's very myopic. It's this just singular cases. No one ever wants to look at the big picture and see what it would mean for the entire legal system. And you maybe at some point, hopefully not, God forbid, but that shit happens, and you need to have rules in place. Just because he is a scumbag.
Have you heard this shit of because this is really amazing to me. That that undercover they were gonna supposedly kidnap that governor.
Oh yeah, Whitmer,
Gretchen Whitmer. And I remember hearing the story. Now, what's amazing is with this coming out, and it is now that they're doing it internally to like Americans and like white people, there's an amazing thing happening, which is people are starting to become aware of what they've been doing in the war on terror.
Yes.
Because I didn't know that. Now I remember these cases. There's a movie by Chris Morris. I can't remember the name of it, but Chris Morris, if you look, he had a show called Brass Eye that's really funny. Where it's like a fake news show. He had this undercover report. I think he got them canceled in Britain, but it was on pedophiles, and they were asking people like for punishments they think are appropriate. Like it's a pill he would swallow, and if he gets turned on by a child, it expands to the size of a widescreen TV.
Holy shit!
And people are all like going along with it, and he got like
that's hilarious.
If you look up Brass Eye, they're great. But he made a movie called Four Lions. He made Four Lions, which is about terrorists in England, like these homegrown.
Oh yeah, I saw that movie. Yep. It's comedy and it's really good. Yeah.
He's made a follow-up one about that in America because the FBI has hundreds and hundreds of cases of creating. They basically it's the same fault that all of them do, where they farm out the job to scumbags who are taking them.
Yeah.
So it's like consultants are always scum. So these guys. The kidnapping plot, they sent 12 undercovers to infiltrate a group of 6 people. Yes. Most of the fucking group of this kidnap plot was just like the idiots that couldn't do it without a huge team of support.
Yeah, and having the initial idea. Like they come in and the FBI is the one that comes in with the idea to do something. They convince these retards, or excuse me, mentally ill people to do things. And then they arrest them for perpetrating a crime or trying to perpetrate
and then
a crime.
guess what? You get it advances your career. You get a promotion.
Oh, yeah, it's
funding.
great.
While they were dicking around with like fake, not even Islamic terrorists that they wrote. Some of these people weren't even Islamic. They were just like, oh, we like Al Qaeda. Just crazy people.
Yeah.
And they fucking put all these people away. And while they were dicking around with that, the Boston Marathon bombing happened. Which another story where there were warnings and it could have been prevented, much like most of the
every single one of those stories.
Every mass shooting, you know, if somebody,
he was looked at. The police went to his house.
The FBI was contacted with a lot of them. So they always like they don't do their fucking thing, and then they make fake ones. And I just put it together watching if you watch the mob things, like I said, they'll tell you that because the FBI, it's only entrapment. They only have to prove it's something that was in your nature to do.
Oh, Christ.
Now, did you know that was a thing that's written as some kind of... That's shocking, dude.
That must have been something that was written after 2001.
Yeah, it sounds very 2001, doesn't it?
Patriot Act-ish.
Yeah, and the whole Patriot Act, I don't think people are aware. I certainly wasn't.
I wasn't either. I was all gung-ho for everything. I'll admit it. I was one of the first people that go, yeah, bomb someone over there. Let's fucking get him.
Did.
Fuck that. And then you go, oh, God, this is really not handled well.
Yeah, because the thing is set up to if I think about it, like you think of all the fucking problems, they're all based on something that didn't. It's not like our interest. Like, what do you mean our interest? Like, I don't have interest.
Yeah,
in
how did that happen?
But God, I said fuck 6 more times. There's just literally no stopping what a degenerate. So remember Chelsea Manning, the trans speaker of.
Yeah.
So I remember that part. Bradley Manning wants to be called Chelsea. I remember that. Well, I didn't remember what the actual leaks were. I remember there was a video that looked bad, which I kind of at the time was like, yeah, well, it's war. But I didn't know the numbers. Do you know what the numbers are of who got killed? Because they said they didn't know how many civilians died. They always used to say we don't know. Probably countless, but anyway, we don't know. Their estimates are 3 non-combatants for every insurgent killed. So we killed 3 innocent people for every person that was actually fighting.
It's called collateral damage, Kurt. It's been that way forever.
Collateral is supposed to be the core. That's like collateral. It's not most of the damage. It can't be most of the damage.
Not most of the damage. It's about the actual targets were the collateral damage.
And then I remember this dumb shit that people say about they were radicalized. All this because this is the karma of it. It all came. What are the signs that you're radicalized?
Yeah.
And it didn't dawn on me at the time. I mean, probably like partway through the end of Obama, this part dawned on me was maybe the blowing them up is more radicalizing than the madrasa.
Yeah.
It might be they were like, madrasa's an idiot, and then we blew up your family because we had to get this one guy. Like if American did that, but in fact, we don't have to ask what an American would do. Arnold Schwarzenegger made a movie about what an American would do.
Yes.
He would go to the country and kill everyone. Collateral, remember Collateral?
Collateral, yes, that was a movie. Dude,
unbelievable.
I swear I believed until very recently, like you just said with the other instance you gave, I believed that the reason we were attacked by Islam on 9/11 and every other terrorist attack that we had was because they hated us for our way of life and that we had movies and cars and we had sex with women and we did.
Jelly is what it is.
They were jelly and
jelly of our lifestyle.
I actually believed this.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing because I was so like conditioned and you know, I'm a boomer for the love of God.
In fairness it's not like they were not saying that's why. Like
Oh,
There
they
was
were
a ton of
saying it
people.
constantly.
Do you remember Bin Laden would send like a Christmas card, like he'd send a video of like, hey, like I'm gonna kill you still.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill you still.
He was
Yeah, in
like-
the cave or
He goes, let's
wherever he
do
was.
nothing. And he would talk about climate change.
Yeah, yeah.
And he would talk about the Western. Meanwhile, the guy was right about everything. And we killed him. He looked like the biblical Jesus.
Holy
That is what
shit,
Christ
dude.
looked like.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, and nobody thought of like that's an amazing turnaround to do from nine. So that's kept up through and so at that time all the shows were like man, red-blooded man, or if you were liberal, making fun of that. There was a whole ecosystem of that, right? There was like blue collar thing,
right?
Like, you believe these assholes, and then it totally shifted to another thing where it's like, oh, that's so like blue collar, oh. But it kept the thing where the drone, like this is what I think the sleight of hand is that like all that stuff came out and UFOs, and nobody gives a shit. There's like probably more about He-Man. I definitely thought about the He-Man thing more than I thought about that UFOs are a thing.
Yeah, that like the Pentagon and they put out stuff that said, "Oh yeah, we have no fucking idea what this is."
Yeah, that's incredible. That's the whole like I'm just trying to help. If they don't make the propaganda better, it's gonna not work out. Because like, if I'm starting to notice, if like the thing you said you thought at the time, like people are starting to notice. That's how bad of a job you're doing with maintaining the Matrix. That people are going, hey, wait a minute.
This doesn't seem right. It's not what I believe. The UFO thing's great because I think this is a gradual thing, and I honestly believe this. They're saying, well, we see some UFOs. We don't know what this is. This is interesting, and the military had this. There are documents we're putting out. It's such a, again, the frog in the slow boiling water as opposed to the boiling water. I think we're very close to a point where the government could say, here is an alien. We picked him up and we'd be like, okay. Do you hear what Biden said though? He sounded like an idiot. Like we wouldn't, it wouldn't be shocking anymore. A fucking alien held up in front of the media by a military guy in Area 51 or whatever would not be shocking anymore.
It better be cool because that's what I think. That's what I think about that TikTok. I'm like, that's not very exciting. By the way,
it's not very exciting.
I was led to believe there was cooler. I don't know.
Right.
It's not that cool. So yeah, 100% it would be like that.
We would have been like, oh, well, the repercussions of learning that there's other life on in space and stuff.
Yeah.
We'd be like, oh, cool. Anyway,
it'd be like Alien Nation. Remember Alien Nation?
Yeah.
It was like an immigration alien thing.
You're right. It's like, well, hopefully you close the borders.
Figure out what kind of BIPOC you are. If they came out, what was my favorite thing is because if do you know Flat Earth Dave?
I don't know Flat Earth Dave. I know a lot of Flat Earth people, but yeah.
Well, Dave, I can't remember. He had like Down the Rabbit Hole podcast. We just call him Flat Earth Dave. He's
funny.
on a lot of podcasts. He's a Flat Earth guy. And
love Flat Earth guys.
What I love the most